Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today is a somewhat exciting day for me because we get to start, I guess I get to start on the 335 rebuild. Got the trailer, got the jump box on. I did order a new battery for it. So while I'm waiting for the battery, I am planning to load it up on the trailer. And then once the new battery gets here, I will replace it, and then we are heading out to my mechanic's place so that he can start working on this car. And initially, I was going to replace all of that myself. And then I thought, okay, well, I did smell a little bit of oil on this car when I first initially bought it. And since it's going to go to my mechanic, why not do it in one go? He could do the control arms, make sure everything is straight, make sure everything is fine, and take a look at the mechanical aspect of this car so that I know it has no issues. And then I think last that I will have to do on this one will actually be just replacing the tires. And I did buy new tires for it, so I have them. But let's get this thing out. I remember it crab walks, so I want to be gentle, but welcome. We are starting to make progress and I am excited for it. Car is on the trailer. I'm going to run upstairs, grab some tools, and start pulling the battery out. But we are a little too close for comfort, especially on this side. I did not realize that the back would be, I mean, obviously it's not good, so. New battery is in. So I just want to make sure that the car starts. And we have lights right there, which is obviously a good sign. Beautiful. Awesome. Now I can take this thing to my mechanic and have him go through it and figure everything out.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
I have made it to my mechanic, and believe it or not, guys, I almost forgot the new control arms at the lot. Thankfully, I did not. Need to open this, pull this out. Two hands probably will be a little bit difficult, but we could do it this way. Yeah, and then take out the ramps and start to unload this thing and leave it here for him to figure out. Got the BMW unloaded and I recalibrated that window, very easy. But obviously in reverse, I moved all the way from there to here. So I need to actually get in here and then grab the car that I'm picking up from my mechanic, load it up on the trailer, because I can't drive two cars at one time, and leave the BMW with him. So hopefully this is the last time we kind of see it in this condition. Yeah, sad car, but hopefully we'll make it right.
Much later.
I am now on my way to my mechanic's place. And I'll be honest, guys, he kind of surprised me on this one as of right now because I haven't seen the car. But you guys saw me drop it off on the trailer. I took it to him. He replaced all the suspension components, and he found a cracked steering stabilizer linkage or something in the front. He said, I don't know if someone was transporting it, towing it, but it cracked, it broke, you need a new one. So I purchased additional parts that I did not anticipate for, but he got everything done and replaced. He even took care of the tires. So I took the tires to him. He got him installed, mounted on the car. Pretty much, I am going over there with no trailer. I will get a turnkey car, and I am driving it back to my lot myself. It is not going on a trailer. He also replaced the rear brakes. He did not do the front brakes because he said, hey, they're at about 40%. If you're selling the car, you could sell it like this. They're totally fine. Just sell them with the new pads. But if you're gonna keep it for a little bit, drive it and then replace the brake pads. He has done more than what I thought or more than what I expected him to do. So I didn't really push on getting the front brake pads replaced. I will do that myself. But I am probably 10 minutes away from his shop. We're picking up this BMW. It is actually turning out to be a very painless flip. I guess we'll see how high the bill will be from him. But hopefully the car drives fine with no issues. In regards to the oil, I had him take a look. He said there's very, very minor seepage. And he's like, you probably smelled the oil because the engine hasn't ran for a while. But he doesn't see any active leaks or any active issues that need immediate attention. He said it's fine. But obviously, we'll see once I get the car. I plan on doing an oil change on it, replacing the front brake pads, and see what else comes up. But the car should be ready to go turnkey. We'll find out very shortly.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Alrighty, I got the car and I am heading back to the lot. I probably will not record a lot just because it's a manual transmission and it's not very easy to do everything at once. But we do have an ABS traction control and brake lights on, and we'll go over those once I get back to the lot if I make it with no issues. I have made it. Okay guys, honestly, lots of pluses with this car. It drives really, really well. Mechanically, it shifts really well. I will have to say, from a bunch of cars that I've obviously owned and driven, I have to say BMW, especially like this generation, say 06 to like 2012, they make the best manual transmission cars, hands down. They are extremely dialed in. They feel just amazing. They don't feel weak, they don't feel loose. They just precise, to the point, comfortable, almost like inspiring, very comforting to drive. Very odd to explain, but drive any of these like higher performance model cars, man, they feel amazing. So huge, huge pluses. Few downsides of this car. So obviously the lights that we have on the dash, it is not running right now. Yeah, I reached out to Nick, see if he is able to guide me in any direction to get this sorted. Obviously from what I felt, it doesn't affect the driving, but now that I'm talking to you guys, I'm thinking at higher speeds, around 80 miles per hour, I did feel, maybe like heard, like almost wheel bearing slightly sound coming from the front end. I know my mechanic replaced the wheel bearing and hub on this one because he said, hey, there was damage. It will most likely need to be replaced either way. So just get it done. So that's exactly what we did. And I'm thinking maybe the front also have something to do with it. But now that I'm talking out loud, I'm thinking these cars from the factory are rear wheel drive. So to make a 4x4 or all wheel drive, I'm assuming the differential, whatever you call it, transfer case is in the front. And the lights that we have on the dash, maybe it has something to do with the like slight noise I was hearing at 80 miles per hour. Anything under that, it's smooth. I'm actually impressed with the tires. It runs flawlessly, like no issues whatsoever. And I did go through the menu. I did find the oil. It says that it's in the green, but I don't know. I just have like a gut feeling to do an oil change on it. So I will still do that. The brake light, I mean, the pads, honestly, they don't look bad at all. But mechanic did say that the brake pad wear sensor is very close. And I know my wife, her X5, when we got it, had like 32,000 miles. I think by like 40,000 miles. The brake pads were still pretty thick, but the sensor, for whatever reason, already touches and it's like, hey, go replace your brake pads. But they were at like 60%. It's the weirdest thing. So maybe it's a BMW thing, I'm not sure. But since I do have the front brake pads, I will still go ahead and replace them. And now I'm sitting by the car. Obviously, I drove it the last 15-20 minutes. I don't smell any oil burning. But when I did start it, I heard a very slight ticking. Asked my mechanic, he said, very minor lifter noise, but he's like, it's most likely either due to older oil or the fact that this car hasn't been driven in a long time. So I'm hoping with an oil change that will go away. Honestly, when I pulled up, I didn't hear it anymore, but this was like the longest drive as far as I know the car has had in potentially months. So things probably just weren't being lubricated. But from the many positives of this car, it has brand new tires, new brake pads in the rear. The whole suspension control arm stuff was replaced with actually a brand new knuckle. So I bought used control arms, brand new knuckle, new wheel bearing and hub assembly. It didn't overheat, runs and drives, shifts great. It's a manual. Honestly, throw some nice tires on it and exhaust, and this thing is a beauty. Really, really is a good looking car. Actually, the one thing I did struggle, and I'm not that big, but man, these seats are set up to be so tight, and I was having so it is this. I was having a hard time figuring it out as I was driving. But this is what was replaced. Okay, I guess, okay, never mind. I was gonna show you guys what was replaced. Yeah, never mind on that. But we are making significant progress on this car, and I would say, depending on what Nick tells me in regards to the 4x4 or whatnot, I am getting close. At the very least, I could start driving it. Brake pads, oil change, basic things. I am excited. I did buy it to be a driver's car for myself until it sells, and I'm very happy that mechanically it seems and feels to be pretty solid.
The next day.
So it's a manual car and he just started it, and yeah,
Your e-brake sucks.
it does. Yeah, I learned that this morning.
Like, holy shit.
Okay, so what's happening with this one
I do
is
not know.
We have all of those lights, and like I said,
going to reach out to Nick and see if he can help with it. So we are going to find out exactly what they are and what needs to be done. But I have put probably 50 miles on this car. It does run and drive totally fine, but higher speeds, and Nick doesn't know this, like closer to 70, 80, it almost feels like something in the front, like very minor vibration or like grinding, but not grinding.
The problem's right here.
BMW, I agree.
Circled on the steering wheel.
Yeah, but it's hard to beat this.
The manual?
Yeah.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Finished up with Nick and his you understand what I'm trying to say. Basically, he is thinking that it's the transfer case actuator motor, and just doing, I guess, simple research based on the codes that the car threw. That seems to be the case, but he said it's safe to drive it like this. So that's, you know, potentially my next step. So I'll continue to drive it and then probably order the parts and still go through with oil change and everything else in between. I want to provide quick short updates on my progress with the BMW. So I took this apart because in order to replace the bulbs, you have to take off this cover, take off the splash shield, and with the tire on it is very, 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 very difficult. So tire came off. I did check the brake pads. Those look to be almost new. Here you go with some light. Those are thick pads. So actually looks like we'll save a little bit of money and not replace those. Oil change I was going to do right now, but I realized I don't have an oil filter for this car. I never ordered one. But I am getting the bulbs out just because online there's so many like different variations and what people say that I just want to be sure, if that makes sense. So I figured I will see exactly what's in here, and then I will be able to make the correct purchase. Well, actually, why am I taking this one out? And I got a warning light for the fog lamp, and then turn signal is out, and the halo is out. So I think halo is probably right here somewhere, or maybe this one, but that's for me to figure out. And turn signal should be this one up top. I got all the bulb numbers that I need and got the bulbs ordered. So putting everything back together. And the other thing is, when I saw Nick earlier today, he drove the car because I told him about that, I don't know, like just odd noise. So difficult to describe that noise. It's like extremely faint, but he says that it's not mechanical. It sounds like wheel bearings, and that's kind of what I assumed initially. So I purchased 2 new wheel bearings for the front, left and right side, just to do it. Car runs great mechanically, but it has obviously 162,000 miles. It has a few imperfections, if you will, and I want to take care of those before it goes to its new home. The downside is the wheel bearings need to be pressed in, which I really don't like doing, because if you mess up anywhere, then you kind of ruin the wheel bearing, and I'd rather have a shop do it. But that means it's going to go back to my mechanic at one point or another to get the wheel bearings replaced. And yeah, but very positive note. Progress is being made. I mean, this car is getting put back together little by little. Tomorrow I plan on doing an oil change. Meantime, I will continue driving it. Most of the bulbs will get here also tomorrow, all but the turn signal bulb. And that's the one that I kind of want the most, because, you know, typical BMW driver with no turn signal, it doesn't look good. It doesn't. The rear one works, but not the front. So I guess that's a positive side. The people behind me can at least see where I'm trying to go.
Several days later.
And the 335 is back from my mechanic. It is on a trailer because I took another car on a trailer to my mechanic, and I don't have a driver with me, so this was the best option that I could do right now. So he did replace the part. Maybe I'll take it off the trailer and show you guys then, or maybe now. Let's see if I could get this door open. So this is what was replaced. It could have failed. I mean, obviously there's no like physical signs that it failed, but I reached out to Nick. Nick said that it might need to be recalibrated, not programmed. So I'll see when he's available to help, but man, he really does help me a lot. Honestly, I have no idea what I would do without him. I'd probably find someone else, but it's good that not only is he a friend, he actually knows this stuff, so he's actually a very invaluable resource to myself. But yeah, I mean, nothing really changed with the BMW. It still runs and drives great, it shifts great. The other thing that my mechanic did was actually replace both of the wheel bearings in the front. I am almost kind of worried about this one, and I will find out once I start driving it more, but that one obviously had damage. That's why we replaced it, but then it felt like, you know, the slight vibration or whatever, the noise was in the front. So I'm hoping the 2 new wheel bearings took care of that. But with 3 new wheel bearings and this side not having a new wheel bearing, if it has any issues whatsoever, then I will hear it, so it will be kind of annoying. So I might have to go back to my mechanic. But technically speaking, if Nick will be able to get this car calibrated and the 4x4 lights off and no noise from this corner, this car is ready to go. Detail, and it's ready to go. So it is getting very close. I will be driving it at least for the next day or 2, because I do enjoy it. I bought it to kind of drive it. It does feel really good. I mean, I do enjoy this car. So that's the plan for me in this car. I'll continue to drive it, and hopefully Nick is able to help me out very, very soon.
2 weeks later.
I don't even know where to start, to be honest. So the front diff was replaced, new fluid, and the front diff definitely works. When I was leaving my mechanic shop, if you guys are following the channel, there's like a gravel-ish area. It's definitely grabbing. And right now I pulled up and trying to park it under tight turns. It definitely grabs. It almost feels like when you have a truck with 4x4, you engage the 4x4 and then you try to take a tight turn. It almost like, difficult to explain if you haven't experienced it, but that's very close to what it feels like. Not as bad, but obviously like an all-wheel drive car shouldn't feel that way. Subaru, BMW, don't matter. All-wheel drive cars are supposed to be smooth. Those that you engage the front diff, trucks, primarily, that's a different story. But that's what it feels like. Now, where we are. Obviously, I have mentioned a few times now that I bought this car thinking it was going to be more or less a fairly minor project. I was anticipating a few bent control arms. That was pretty much it. I did take a risk. Obviously, it's a higher mileage car, but it does look pretty clean. But I want to say this car, I think I am more than double into parts and labor than what I paid for it with auction fees, because if I remember, with auction fees it cost me like 1,700-1,800 bucks. Last I checked, I am probably 5,100 bucks into it as it sits, and obviously there's a lot of new parts. If I can't get this 4x4 light situated, then I'm in big trouble. Nick is on his way. He just called, if you guys heard that ring before I cut off the last clip. He is about 10 minutes out. I will see if he's able to program it or do his Nick magic. He is the G. He has helped immensely with so many cars, and this one is no exception. And he doesn't work on German cars, if that tells you anything. He does not like them, but obviously here we are. So if he can fix that or reprogram it or whatever, because the diff works, we replaced the actuator motor. It has a new used diff. Everything else is situated on that car. It'll need a detail and then I can sell it. I even applied for a rebuilt title. So this car will not be a salvage title. It'll be a rebuilt title, clear and free to go to any state without restrictions. It's a rebuilt title. So I have definitely more or less put all of my ducks in one basket, if that makes sense, or eggs in one basket. If very shortly we'll find out. If we could get this thing sorted and done, then beautiful. If not, then I might have to lose a part of my shirt on this car. But honestly, I do enjoy driving it. And right now, windows down, even AC blowing cold, it is a very nice driver. But the 4x4 lights, that's going to be a hard sell.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Here's the verdict. Nick stopped by, pulled the codes, and it looks like the rectifier something sensor is out of whack. So we replaced the transfer case motor, but it didn't come with a new rectifier. It's essentially like a sensor that goes on the side of it. And my mechanic replaced it and put it, well, took the old one off and put it on the new part. So that's the last part. But honestly, if we did the transfer case for no reason and all it took was a $50 sensor and I just spent $700 replacing the transfer case, that's gonna be really, really lame. But we'll see. Ordering a new sensor, that one I should be able to replace myself with some jacks. And hopefully that will be it with the BMW story. Hopefully.
Several days later.
Hasn't even been that darn long, but look at how filthy and caked. I don't even know what the heck all of this stuff is. But obviously, you know, stuff kind of blows around a lot and gets stuck on this. But in my pocket, I have a new sensor. It is a genuine BMW part. I'm hoping I won't struggle replacing it. I know there was where'd it go? Probably fell out in my pocket. There's a little screw in there. Boy, oh boy. You know, it's funny. I was upstairs and I had to make sure that I could grab the right socket that would fit it. And I was like, watch me drop it and then go downstairs and struggle finding it. It's like I know myself. But I'm hoping I could do this myself, hoping I could do it with just a jack without a lift. And I am really, really hoping that this will fix the unnecessary lights that I have. If not, honestly guys, I don't even know what I'm gonna do, because obviously, like I said, I am very deep into this car now, more than double what I paid for it. Yeah, this is not what I was expecting with this purchase, but it is what it is. Welcome to the car business. Let's get this party started. Let's hopefully finish it, fix it, and then move forward with selling it, get some money out of this thing.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
I am beyond annoyed at this whole process. Replacing the sensor was an absolute pain, extremely uncomfortable. This is not a job to necessarily do with just a jack. Honestly, I have no words. Back, neck, everything hurts, and I did it on this uneven asphalt. Rocks in my head, rocks in my back. Highly do not recommend. The other thing that I am very, very upset by is this. You guys see that silicone stuff? And you see how I can flex? Like, you could probably see it. See that gap? That means the sensor was broken. Now I'm going to reach out to my mechanic. He has been good to me, but he did get a new employee. And I'm going to ask him if the new employee worked on this car. Because, here's why I'm upset. The transfer case motor was replaced. That was the first thing that was replaced. It does not come with a new sensor. You have to buy the sensor separately. The problem is, if the employee, while replacing it, broke this, and my issue was with just this broken sensor, I literally replaced a whole transfer case. I'm going to start it for the first time, and if these lights are going to be gone, one, I will be relieved, but two, I will be pissed. Because the new used transfer case, I think, was around $300 and around $600 in labor. Nearly $1,000. If the problem was in this $50 sensor that I just replaced myself, and I ended up spending nearly $1,000 more, I'm gonna lose my ish. So I still have ABS on 4x4. When I spoke to Nick, he said that you probably may need to calibrate it, which I will reach out to him to do. But I am going to go on a quick drive, see if it goes away on its own. We're gonna report back. I did not go far, but the lights are still on, so I reached out to Nick asking him when he could come out, take a look and see if he could connect to and calibrate the sensor before I start making phone calls and rolling heads. Just gonna keep my cool for now and not lose anything. So as of right now, still nothing. Hopefully Nick could save the day once again.
Several days later.
Nick came back a few days ago after I replaced the transfer case actuator back to the one it had in it. So obviously this BMW has an absolute, or has been an absolute mess, but Nick was able to reprogram everything, because once I was done, I started the car, no lights. When I pulled off the trailer, I think it only had like one light or two lights. So it wasn't the whole, you know, Christmas tree BMW dashboard, and he was able to get it done. Just picked up the car from my detailer, drove it back. So I drove it to my detailer back. Absolutely no lights came on. The only light is for the TPMS light, and I think it's from the damage here. The TPMS sensor got damaged, which obviously I did not replace. I just photographed it. I just listed it for sale, and I did crunch the numbers. I am unbelievably painfully a lot into this car as it sits, and I would not be surprised if I missed a few things. But as it sits, I am $5,999 into this car, and I listed it for $6,750. It is on the higher end of comparable models, I guess. Well, there's a clean title with like 178,000 miles, so higher. They want 8K for it, but it's an auto. The flip side of that, what I am, I guess, also calculating for is that I have 4 new tires on this one, new wheel bearings, new battery, fresh oil change, transfer case resistor, transfer case fluid, various control arms, linkages. My mechanic found a leaking boot. I don't know where, but he replaced that. So I would say I did kind of go above and beyond, trying to sort this car and make sure it's as perfect as it can be. Obviously, even with the like 4x4 ABS whatever issues that it had prior, it still ran great mechanically. It shifted good, engine made good power, it didn't skip a beat, there was no check engine light, so like no faults. I took it through DEQ, it passed with no issues, cleaned up, and this paint looks amazing. Interior also looks beautiful. I did already put everything away, sports seats, navigation. I mean, it has all the options. I don't know how much I will sell it for, but at this point I'm genuinely looking to break even just so that I don't lose money. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know, but this was one of those, like, I knew I took a risk on it, but it just happened to have so many issues that I struggled with, my mechanic struggled with. This was a difficult purchase, flip, but with a clear conscience, I could send it off to the next owner and say, mechanically, as far as I know, this car is fantastic. So with all of that being said, I want to say thank you for watching, thank you for joining. If you have a buyer for this car, send him my way. If you're interested in buying it, I do think it's a well-sorted car, and yes, it has a rebuild title, but you guys saw it only had suspension damage. Body is all original to the car. There's no panels, no bumpers, no nothing that were replaced, no airbags blown. It was literally just that, and then I struggled with the transfer case stuff, but every single BMW from this generation, X5, X3, I mean, all of them have the 4x4 or all-wheel drive actuator issues. This one has been sorted. It's ready to go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in another video.
Bye.